If you're like most of us, you've tried budgeting at least once in your life and failed at it. What is budgeting anyway? Simply put, budgeting is planning how to spend your money by allocating specific amounts to each category, and ideally, these allocations would be based off and not exceed your income. So, say if you earn $3,000 every month, your budget for everything rent, food, gas, etc. all of that should not exceed $3,000. Seems pretty simple, right? And it is. But as we often say, simple doesn't always mean easy. So, why is budgeting so hard to stick to for most of us? Reason number one, you're not doing it right. Say you sat down and planned your budget, wrote it on paper, and it looks so nice and logical and doable, like the numbers make sense, so you think this is it, right? This is the start of your road to financial success. Then you find out at the end of the month that your balance is nowhere where you want it to be, or even worse, that you're in the red and staring in the face of those horrendous overdraft fees, or borrowing from friends, family, or worst of all, a loan shark. What could have happened is that you didn't get your numbers right. Did you put your accurate income for the month, or was it an overestimation? Did you put a realistic number for your groceries, or did you underestimate? Did you by any chance forget to include in your calculations those sneaky subscription fees? One important thing about budgeting that a lot of people tend to forget is that it's not just planning how much you're going to spend for the month and on what categories, but it also includes tracking what you're spending for the month. How would you know if you're sticking to your budget if you're not tracking your expenses? There are numerous ways to do it. For us, what worked is manually tracking each expense, and we used the Money Manager app for that. We actually made a separate video for that, and you can check it out. But if you're the kind of person who needs to see stuff to actually grasp the reality of things, then the cash system or the envelope system might work for you. So the way it works is that you put the actual cash inside the envelopes for each corresponding categories, like say rent, groceries, gas, and then once the cash runs out of that envelope, then you stop spending for that category. Or you could borrow the money from another category that has an excess. But once the cash is gone from all the envelopes, then that's when you stop spending. Well, ideally. Now, what if you knew all this already, tried numerous budgeting apps out there, and it's still not working for you? Reason number two, you're not ready. Most people fail at budgeting because it's just like dieting to lose weight. They're simply not ready for the discipline needed to stick to it. Quite frankly, it's hard because budgeting requires sacrifice. More often than not, people who start a budget do so because they want to achieve a certain financial goal. Maybe it's getting out of debt, maybe it's trying to save for a house, or maybe it's saving for that once-in-a-lifetime Taylor Swift concert ticket. And in order to achieve those goals, for those of us who don't have an infinite amount of money in our laps, it requires some level of sacrifice. So if you're used to eating out a couple times a month, watching any show you want because you have all the subscriptions for all the streaming services, or even driving that gorgeous car you have that has that $700 monthly payment, these might just be some of the things that you would need to sacrifice in order to achieve your goal, the reason you started your budget. And yet, if your why is not stronger than the desire to keep on living the way you're living, simply put, budgeting is pointless. Take an honest look into your life. Is it worth changing the way you live, not giving into wants, not buying things that are just nice to haves but not absolute necessities for survival? Is it worth doing this in order to achieve your goal? If so, you might be ready to stick to a budget. And you know what the good news is? Budgeting doesn't have to be so limiting and even more beautiful. It doesn't have to be forever. Once you're out of that miserable financial hole, it's a lot easier to spend on things. without worry or guilt. But until then, until you're ready for that sacrifice, until it's everything you want, that it's all you can think about, then nothing's going to change. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.